Hello there and welcome to the Sleepy Universe. Tonight we are going to stay exactly where you are, because tonight the journey is inward. In a little while you will stop moving. Your breathing will settle, your thoughts will loosen, and from the outside it will look as though nothing at all is happening. But inside, a whole night shift is about to begin. All through the dark hours, quietly and without asking anything of you, your body will slow your heart, cool your skin, repair what the day wore down, sort through everything you saw and heard, and carry 1,000 small errands to completion before morning. None of it needs your attention. None of it needs your effort. You have been doing this every night of your life, and your body has never once needed reminding. So let it get on with its work. 100 quiet facts about the night shift inside you, told slowly, while you drift all the way down into sleep. As the room around you dims, something ancient inside your body begins to stir awake. Deep in your brain, a tiny cluster of cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus has been quietly counting the hours since sunrise. And now, sensing the fall in light, it sends out a signal that ripples through your entire system. This is your circadian clock, a rhythm your body has carried since before you could remember anything at all, tuned across countless generations to the slow turning of day into night. It does not need you to check a clock on the wall, because it keeps its own, patient and steady, ticking along in the quiet dark behind your eyes. Right now, as the light fades, that clock is nudging every organ, every muscle, every distant cell toward a shared understanding that the day's work is coming to a close. Your heart, your lungs, your stomach, your skin, all of them are listening to the same soft signal, adjusting their pace, easing their effort, letting go of the tension they carried through the day. It is less like a switch turning off, and more like a long, familiar tide beginning to pull gently back out to sea. Somewhere behind your eyes, a small gland called the pineal begins releasing melatonin into your bloodstream, and this quiet hormone becomes the evening's gentle messenger. It does not force you into sleep the way a switch forces a lamp into darkness, but instead it whispers to your body that the sun has gone, that the sky outside has softened into blue and then black, that it is now safe and fitting to slow down. Melatonin rises gradually, roughly beginning an hour or two before your usual bedtime, climbing in a smooth curve rather than a sudden jump, so that your body eases into the idea of rest rather than being startled into it. Every cell that carries a receptor for this hormone receives the same soft instruction, a kind of permission slip passed from your brain out to your muscles, your gut, your immune cells. Long before humans had clocks, this same molecule was already doing this same quiet work, rising with darkness across the animal kingdom. Tonight, as it has every night of your life, melatonin threads through your blood like a slow, warm current, carrying the simple message that it is time, at last, to let the day go. One of the clearest signs that your body is shifting into evening mode is the slow, steady drop in your core temperature, a change so gentle you would never notice it happening from the inside. Sometime in the hour or two before you actually fall asleep, your internal temperature begins to ease downward from its daytime peak, a small dip that carries an outsized meaning for your nervous system. This cooling is not incidental, but rather a signal in itself, because a falling core temperature is one of the oldest and most reliable cues your body uses to recognize that sleep is approaching. Warm blood is drawn away from your core toward your skin, particularly through your hands and feet, which is why they so often feel warmer to the touch in the evening, even as your deep internal temperature falls. This redistribution acts almost like opening a small window to let the day's heat escape, easing your body toward the cooler, quieter state that deep rest prefers. It continues to drift downward through the earliest hours of the night, reaching its lowest point long before dawn, a slow descent that mirrors the setting of the sun outside. As evening settles in, your muscles begin a long, gradual release of the tension they have carried since morning, loosening in a way that has nothing to do with conscious effort. Throughout the day, your muscle fibers hold a baseline of readiness, a subtle firmness that lets you sit, stand, reach, and move without a second thought. But as the circadian signal shifts toward night, that background tone begins to fade. It happens slowly, almost imperceptibly, starting in small ways long before you actually lie down, a softening in the shoulders, an easing around the jaw, a quiet loosening through the hands. This gentle release is guided by the same shift in your nervous system that lowers your heart rate and eases your breathing, a coordinated stepping down of the signals that keep you alert and upright. By the time true sleep arrives, this process will continue further still, but even now, in these early evening hours, your body is already rehearsing that deeper letting go. It is a little like a hand slowly opening after holding something tightly all day, finger by finger, the grip easing before it ever fully releases. Nothing is being switched off abruptly, only invited gradually and patiently to soften. Your senses, so finely tuned during the day to catch every small change around you, begin to grow quieter as evening settles in, dialing down their sensitivity in a slow and deliberate way. This happens largely because of a structure deep in your brain called the thalamus, which acts something like a relay station, filtering the constant stream of sound, light, and touch before it reaches your conscious awareness. As the evening signal spreads, this relay begins to dampen its own activity, gently reducing how much of the outside world gets passed along for full attention. Sounds that would have caught your notice at noon start to blend into the background, and the edges of the room seem to soften even before the lights are out. This is not your senses failing, but rather your body choosing to turn its attention inward, toward the quieter work of preparing for rest. It is a graceful kind of narrowing, the wide, bright awareness of daytime folding gently inward, like a bird settling its wings after a long flight. Little by little, the world outside grows softer, dimmer, and further away, exactly as it should when the day is finally ready to close. Underneath all of these gentle evening shifts lies something scientists call sleep pressure, a quiet and steady force that has been building patiently since the very moment you woke up this morning. Throughout the day, a molecule called adenosine gradually accumulates in your brain, rising hour by hour as a natural byproduct of all the small energy exchanges happening in your busy, waking mind. Think of it less like an alarm and more like sand settling at the bottom of an hourglass, an accumulation that grows heavier the longer you have been awake. By evening, this gentle pressure has grown substantial, tugging at your eyelids, softening your focus, nudging your whole body toward finally lying down. It works quietly alongside your circadian clock, the two of them meeting at just the right moment each night, one built from the simple passage of waking hours, the other tuned to the turning of light and dark. Together they form a soft, layered invitation rather than a demand, easing you towards sleep instead of forcing you into it. Tonight, as always, this patient pressure has been gathering all day, waiting simply for the lights to dim and the evening to finally arrive. Your breathing, too, begins its own quiet transformation as night approaches, settling into a slower and more even rhythm than it kept throughout the busy hours of the day. During waking hours, your breath constantly adjusts to match your activity, quickening when you climb stairs, easing when you sit still. But as evening deepens and your nervous system shifts its balance toward rest, your breathing rate begins to settle into a steadier, more predictable pattern, each breath a little longer and a little calmer than the one before. This change is guided largely by the parasympathetic branch of your nervous system, sometimes called the body's rest and digest network, which grows more active as daylight fades and evening settles fully in. Slower breathing, in turn, sends its own gentle signal back through your body, reinforcing the sense of calm rather than simply following it. It is a quiet feedback loop, breath calming mind, mind calming breath, each easing the other along in slow, unhurried turns. By the time you are ready to close your eyes, this rhythm has already smoothed itself out considerably, patient and even, like waves settling after the wind has finally died down for the night. Your digestive system, which has been steadily working through the day's meals, begins to ease its pace as evening arrives, settling into a gentler rhythm alongside everything else. The muscular waves that move food along your digestive tract, something called motility, slow down somewhat as your body shifts toward its evening state, a change guided by the same broad circadian rhythm that governs your temperature and your hormones. This is simply your body honoring an old, sensible pattern, shaped over a long evolutionary history in which nights were for rest rather than foraging and heavy digestion. Blood flow that during the day might be more readily directed toward digestive organs begins, in the evening, to redistribute more evenly, part of the larger reorganization happening throughout your body as it prepares for rest. None of this requires any effort or attention from you at all. It simply unfolds on its own schedule, quietly in the background, the way it has every evening of your life. It is one small piece of a much larger orchestration, your gut settling its pace to match the slowing tempo of your muscles, your breath, and your thoughts, all moving together toward the same soft, unhurried evening rhythm. Even your skin takes part in this evening transition, quietly shifting its behavior in ways that connect directly to the temperature changes happening deep within your body. Tiny blood vessels near the surface of your skin, especially across your hands, feet, and face, begin to widen slightly as evening approaches, a process called vasodilation that allows warm blood to flow more freely toward these outer areas. This is the same mechanism responsible for the gentle release of heat from your core, a kind of quiet valve opening to let warmth escape into the cooler evening air. You might notice that your hands or feet feel a touch warmer in the evening than at midday, even as your deep internal temperature continues its gradual decline. This small shift in circulation is entirely ordinary, a normal and expected part of your body's nightly rhythm, arriving on cue the same way it has every evening before. It reflects a kind of elegant efficiency, your circulatory system redirecting its resources exactly where they are needed, calming the engine at the center while releasing its warmth gently outward. In this quiet way, your skin becomes a small, steady participant in the larger, body-wide turning toward rest. By the time full darkness has settled outside, your entire body has already moved a good distance along this evening path, each system adjusting in its own time, yet somehow perfectly coordinated with all the others. Your temperature has begun its downward drift, your muscles have started to loosen their daytime grip, your senses have softened their attention to the world, and your breathing has slipped into a slower, calmer rhythm. None of these changes happened because you decided they should. They arrived through an old, quiet intelligence built into your biology, refined long before clocks or calendars existed. It is a remarkably gentle process, more like an orchestra lowering its volume together than any single instrument falling silent. Your body seems to understand, in its own wordless way, that rest is not an emergency measure, but a return, a homecoming to the state it was always quietly preparing to reach. Outside, the world has grown dim and hushed, and inside you, that same hush is spreading, moving through blood and breath and muscle alike. Everything is simply easing, unhurried and unforced, toward the soft, familiar territory of sleep, exactly as it has every single night of your life. Somewhere in this quiet unfolding, your heart begins its own gentle descent, slowing its steady beat as the evening deepens into true rest. During your waking hours, your heart might beat somewhere around 70 times each minute, a pace suited to moving and thinking and being upright, but as sleep approaches, that number begins to ease downward. This slowing is guided by the parasympathetic nervous system, the same calm, patient network that eases your breathing and loosens your muscles, now turning its quiet attention to your heart as well. Over the course of the night, your heart rate may drift down by 10 or even 20 beats per minute compared to its daytime pace, settling into a slower, steadier rhythm that will hold for much of the night. This is not your heart growing weaker or struggling in any way, but rather resting exactly as it should, taking advantage of a long stretch of stillness to ease its workload after a full day of steady effort. Each beat during these hours becomes a little more spaced out, a little more unhurried, like footsteps slowing on a long walk home. Your heart, tireless through every waking hour, finally receives its nightly chance to breathe. Alongside your slowing pulse, your blood pressure begins its own gentle decline, easing downward in a pattern researchers sometimes call nocturnal dipping. In a typical night, blood pressure may fall by somewhere around 10 to 20% compared to daytime levels, a soft and predictable dip that follows the same broad rhythm guiding your temperature and your heart rate. This happens largely because the sympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for daytime alertness, quiets down once evening turns to night, releasing its grip on the blood vessels it normally keeps in gentle tension. As that grip loosens, vessels relax and widen slightly, and with less resistance in the system, pressure eases along with it. This nightly dip is not a fault in the system, but instead a well-worn, expected pattern your cardiovascular system has followed every single night of your life. It mirrors, in its own way, the softening you feel in your muscles and the slowing you feel in your breath, one more thread in the same larger unwinding. Your blood pressure, like the rest of you, is simply settling, drifting gently downward into the calm floor of the night. As your body cools and your muscles soften, the blood vessels just beneath your skin begin to widen, inviting warm blood outward from your core toward your hands, feet, and face. This process, called peripheral vasodilation, plays a quiet but essential role in the night's larger rhythm, acting as a release valve for heat your body no longer needs to hold at its center. You might notice on a calm evening that your feet feel warmer once you have settled into bed, a small sensation that reflects this shift in circulation. Blood that during the day moved briskly to support movement now spreads more generously toward the surface, carrying warmth outward and helping your core temperature continue its gradual decline. This widening of surface vessels is guided by the same parasympathetic calm that slows your heartbeat and eases your blood pressure, all moving together as one coordinated evening transition. It is a graceful piece of engineering, your circulatory system redirecting its efforts, favoring the slow release of warmth over the rapid pumping of daytime activity. In this soft widening at the surface of your skin, you can find one more small, steady sign of a body settling gently into rest. With vessels widened and pressure eased, your blood itself begins a slow and gentle redistribution through the night, flowing a little differently than it did during your busy waking hours. Rather than being called constantly toward your muscles and brain to support movement, your circulating blood spreads more evenly, favoring the skin and outer reaches of your body over the demanding tasks of daytime life. This shift reflects a broader easing of effort throughout your system, a quiet reallocation of resources now that the pressing needs of the day have passed. Your heart, beating more slowly and with less force than during waking hours, does not need to push blood through your body with the same daytime urgency, and so it settles into a gentler, steadier rhythm of circulation. This redistribution unfolds gradually across the night, deepening as you move through your different stages of sleep, each phase carrying its own slightly different pattern of flow. It is worth pausing to appreciate how much quiet coordination this involves, blood vessels, heart muscle, and nervous system all adjusting together, moment by moment, without any conscious direction from you at all. Through the night, your blood moves like a slow, calm river, finding its own unhurried course. Your heart is, in many ways, a muscle like any other, and just as your arms and legs benefit from rest after a day of effort, so too does this tireless organ welcome the chance to ease its workload through the night. Each beat requires a small amount of energy, a contraction and release repeated without pause across every waking hour, and over a single day this adds up to an extraordinary amount of quiet, continuous work. As your heart rate slows through the night, the total effort your heart must produce decreases as well, giving this remarkable muscle a gentler rhythm to settle into. This nightly easing is closer to an actual recovery period, a stretch of hours in which the heart can work a little less before the next day's demands arrive. It has been doing this every single night of your life, an old and reliable pattern built into the very architecture of your body. There is something quietly reassuring in this, the knowledge that even your heart, so central and so constant, still gets to rest, still gets its own small nightly reprieve within the larger, patient rhythm of sleep. Deep within this nightly slowing lies a quiet balance between two branches of your nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, trading places as the hours pass. During the day, the sympathetic branch tends to lead, keeping your heart alert and ready, your vessels a little more taut, your whole body primed for whatever the day asks of it. But as evening turns to night, the parasympathetic branch steps forward instead, easing that daytime tension and inviting your heart into a slower, calmer rhythm. Researchers can observe this shift by studying heart rate variability, the small, natural fluctuations in timing between each heartbeat, which tend to increase as the parasympathetic system takes over through the night. A more variable heartbeat is a reassuring sign, reflecting a nervous system that feels safe enough to relax its guard and let the body's restorative processes take the lead. This trade between the two branches happens smoothly, without any abrupt handoff, more like the slow turning of a tide than the flipping of a switch. Night after night, your body performs this same quiet exchange, sympathetic giving way to parasympathetic, effort giving way to ease, in a rhythm as old as your heart itself. As your heart rate slows and your vessels widen, the actual amount of blood your heart pumps with each beat, along with the total volume it moves each minute, also settles into a gentler nighttime pattern. During moments of daytime activity, your heart adjusts its output constantly, pumping more forcefully when your body calls for extra oxygen and easing off when you are still. At night, with the demands of movement mostly set aside, your heart settles into a steadier, more economical rhythm, moving blood efficiently without the surges of effort daytime activity requires. This is sometimes described as a lower cardiac output during sleep, a natural part of the body's overnight recalibration rather than any cause for concern. It reflects your heart matching its effort to what your body needs in this quiet, restful state, no more and no less. Just as you might walk easily along a familiar path instead of rushing, your heart moves through the night at its own unhurried pace, conserving energy for the day ahead. This nightly economy is one more example of how thoroughly your body understands rest, adjusting even something as fundamental as blood flow to match the gentler needs of sleep. Your blood vessels themselves, particularly the smaller ones that reach into your muscles and organs, experience a kind of nightly rest of their own, easing the steady tension they maintain throughout the day. During waking hours, these vessels constantly adjust their width, narrowing and widening in response to activity, temperature, and the shifting demands of movement, a continuous fine-tuning that keeps blood flowing where it is needed. At night, guided by the same parasympathetic calm that slows your heart, many of these vessels settle into a more relaxed, less variable state, requiring less constant adjustment than they did during the day. This relaxation contributes directly to the gentle fall in blood pressure that accompanies sleep, since less tension in the vessel walls allows pressure within the system to ease. It is a quiet kind of maintenance, your circulatory system using these still hours to loosen the fine muscular control it exercises while you are awake. Much like a hand unclenching after a long day of gripping a tool, your vessels soften their hold, settling into an easier state. Through the night, this widespread relaxation spreads through your circulatory system, one more quiet thread woven into the larger, patient unwinding of sleep. Even the small reflexes that manage your blood pressure moment to moment, called baroreflexes, shift their behavior gently as you move deeper into sleep, adjusting to the calmer demands of the night. During the day, these reflexes work quickly and often, sensing tiny changes in pressure and adjusting your heart rate and vessel tone to keep everything steady as you stand, sit, and move. At night, with your body still for long stretches, these reflexes have far less work to do, settling into a quieter, more relaxed pattern of activity. This does not mean they switch off, only that they ease into a gentler rhythm, responding to the slower changes that come with lying still rather than the constant small adjustments daytime movement demands. It is a fitting kind of rest for a system built around responsiveness, a chance to settle into calm, predictable patterns after a day of constant fine-tuning. In this way, even the most reactive parts of your cardiovascular system get to experience something like stillness, their attention needed only occasionally. Through the long hours of the night, this quiet reflex rests alongside your heart and your vessels, each part of the system finding its own small measure of ease. Taken all together, this slow, coordinated softening of your heart and blood through the night forms one of the body's quietest and most faithful nightly rituals. Your pulse eases, your pressure dips, your vessels widen and relax, and blood moves gently outward through you in patterns shaped by countless generations of nights spent resting beneath open skies. None of this requires your attention, and none of it announces itself with fanfare. It simply happens night after night, as reliably as the setting of the sun. There is something deeply reassuring in knowing that even your heart, the organ so often associated with exertion and urgency, has its own quiet season of rest built into every single day. It works hard through the waking hours, meeting whatever the day requires, and then, as darkness falls, it is allowed to ease, to slow, to soften, trusting the stillness of the night to carry it through until morning. This nightly rhythm connects you, in a small and quiet way, to every person who has ever closed their eyes and let their heart slow into sleep before you. Your heart rests now, as it always has, patient and steady, carrying you gently through the dark toward another waking day. As you drift past the edge of waking, your breath begins to slow, softening from the quicker rhythm of the day into something long and unhurried, the way a river slows once it leaves the narrow rocks behind and spreads into open, quiet water. In those first minutes of sleep, your breathing rate eases down from its daytime pace to somewhere around 12 to 14 breaths a minute, sometimes gentler still, each inhale drawing less effort than the one before it. Your chest no longer needs to work hard to keep pace with thought or movement, because thought itself is quieting and movement has mostly stopped. The muscles around your ribs release their daytime tension, and the whole rhythm becomes rounder, softer, less like a task and more like a tide. There is nothing you need to do to make this happen. Your body simply lets go of the extra effort it was spending on staying alert, and breathing settles into its most basic, most efficient form. It is one of the earliest signs that sleep has truly begun, this small quiet slowing, this first sign that the night shift has started its work, long before your mind has any sense of drifting away. Your breathing does not stay the same all night. It changes shape as you move between the different stages of sleep, almost like a piece of music shifting between movements. In the deep, slow-wave stages, your breath becomes wonderfully steady, an even metronomic rhythm that barely wavers from one breath to the next, as though your body has found a groove and settled comfortably into it. Then, when REM sleep arrives and your mind begins to dream, the pattern loosens again, becoming a little quicker and a touch more uneven, echoing the flicker of images passing through your sleeping brain. This gentle cycling between steady and shifting breath happens several times through the night, following the same broader waves of deep sleep and dreaming that shape your whole night's rest. None of these changes ask anything of you. They unfold on their own, guided by ancient, well-practiced parts of your nervous system that have been doing this every single night of your life. Each stage has its own quiet tempo, its own particular hush, and your breath moves between them as naturally as the tide moves between low and high, always returning, always familiar, always without a single conscious thought from you. While you sleep, the muscle doing most of the real work of breathing is your diaphragm, that broad, dome-shaped sheet tucked beneath your lungs, rising and falling with a patience that never seems to tire. During the day, you often breathe partly with your chest and shoulders, especially when you are busy or upright. But at night, lying still, Your body leans almost entirely on this deeper, quieter muscle instead. With every gentle downward press, the diaphragm draws air into the lower reaches of your lungs, and with every soft release, it lets the air drift back out, all without your shoulders lifting or your chest straining in the slightest. This is sometimes called abdominal breathing, and if you were to watch someone sleeping peacefully, it is often the slow rise and fall of the belly rather than the chest that shows just how at ease their breathing has become. It is a wonderfully efficient way to breathe, asking for the least amount of muscular effort while still moving a full, satisfying share of air. Night after night, this same quiet muscle carries on its patient work, asking nothing of your attention, content simply to rise and fall in its own unhurried time. Somewhere in the depths of your brainstem, tucked below the more familiar folds of the brain you think with, sits a small cluster of nerve cells that has been quietly running your breathing since the very night you were born. This is often called the respiratory center, and it works entirely without your awareness, sensing the gentle rise of carbon dioxide in your blood and answering with just the right next breath, adjusting the depth and pace as needed, all while the rest of your mind rests completely undisturbed. You never have to remember to breathe while asleep, never have to check in on it or nudge it along, because this ancient part of your nervous system has already taken care of it, breath after breath, for your entire life. It responds to small chemical signals so subtle you would never notice them yourself, translating them instantly into the right rhythm for the moment, whether you are deep in slow-wave sleep or drifting through a dream. There is something quietly reassuring in this, the knowledge that somewhere beneath all your thoughts and dreams, a small and steady overseer keeps this most basic rhythm going, faithfully, automatically, without ever needing rest of its own. Every breath you take while sleeping carries out the same small exchange that has been happening since your very first cry as an infant. Air moving into the tiny branching sacs of your lungs called alveoli, oxygen slipping quietly into your bloodstream, and carbon dioxide slipping back out to be breathed away. At night, with your body still and your muscles relaxed, this exchange happens with a kind of unhurried efficiency, each lungful of air settling into place, doing its quiet work and moving on. Your blood carries the fresh oxygen onward to every resting part of you, feeding the slow, steady processes of repair and maintenance that fill your sleeping hours, while carbon dioxide is gathered up and released with the next unhurried exhale. It is a rhythm so constant and so old that it barely registers as an event at all, more like a background hum than an action, and yet it is the very thing making every other part of your night's rest possible. In the hush of a dark room, this soft exchange continues without pause, thousands of quiet breaths passing in and out, each one a small, faithful renewal of the air that keeps your body's nighttime work going. As sleep deepens, the muscles of your throat and airway relax along with everything else, softening just enough to let the air move a little more freely on its journey in and out. Many people find that their breathing shifts gently toward the nose during the deepest parts of sleep, a slower, quieter path for the air, warmed and softened before it ever reaches the lungs. This small preference for nasal breathing helps keep the whole rhythm calm and even the air arriving at a gentler pace than it might through an open mouth. Your body seems to know in its own wordless way which path feels most restful, and it settles into that path night after night, largely on its own. There is a kind of unhurried grace to this, the way even something as small as the choice between nose and mouth becomes part of the great, quiet choreography of sleep. Nothing about it needs correcting or guiding, and no thought needs to pass through your mind about it at all. It simply happens the way water finds the lowest, easiest course down a hillside, following the path that asks the least of it, night after peaceful night. In the deepest stretches of your sleep, your breathing often falls into a soft, natural rhythm alongside your heartbeat, the two systems moving in a loose, companionable step with one another, like two dancers who have practiced together so long they barely need to look at each other anymore. This is not a rigid synchronization, but a gentle tendency, a subtle harmony that shows up more clearly during the calmest parts of the night than during dreaming or lighter sleep. Scientists who study these patterns describe it as part of the broader calm that settles over your whole body during deep, slow-wave sleep, when your nervous system leans heavily into its most restful settings. Your heart rate slows, your breath slows, and the two seem to lean toward each other in their unhurried pace, each easing the other into a steadier rhythm. There is something almost musical in this quiet pairing, two of your body's most essential rhythms moving together through the darkest, stillest hours, asking nothing of your attention, needing no guidance from you at all, simply falling into step the way old friends fall into an easy, familiar walking pace beside one another. The very air moving through your chest at night is doing more than simply keeping you alive from one breath to the next. It is helping to regulate the delicate chemical balance of your blood, keeping the smallest details of your inner chemistry calm and steady while you rest. As oxygen enters and carbon dioxide leaves, your blood's acidity stays within a narrow, comfortable range, a balance so important that your body has built an entire quiet system just to protect it, working in the background of every single sleeping hour. You never notice this happening, of course, because it happens so smoothly, so continuously, that it never rises to the level of something worth noticing. It is simply part of the deep, unseen upkeep that fills your night, alongside the healing of tissues and the sorting of memories, one more small task carried out faithfully while your conscious mind is elsewhere entirely. This steady chemical balancing act is one of the quietest, least celebrated parts of sleep, and yet it is essential, running underneath everything else, like a hum so constant it becomes part of the silence itself. Across a full night, your lungs will move air in and out somewhere between 4 and 5 million times fewer motions than your heart's beats, yet still an enormous, patient number, each one small and unremarkable on its own, together forming the quiet backbone of your entire night's rest. If you could watch your chest and belly from above through the darkness, you would see this soft, repeating rise and fall, steady as a metronome, occasionally shifting its pace as you move between dreaming and deep, dreamless rest. There is a kind of quiet devotion in this repetition, the same simple motion performed without complaint or variation, hour after hour, asking only that you remain still enough to let it continue undisturbed. Long after your thoughts have gone quiet and your eyes have stopped moving beneath their lids, this rhythm carries on, patient and unbothered, filling the room with its soft, even sound. It is, in its own understated way, one of the most reliable things your body does, the breath simply continuing, simply repeating, long after every other part of your waking mind has finally been allowed to rest. By the time the deepest hours of night settle fully around you, your breathing has become about as calm and unhurried as it will ever be. A soft, steady hush moving in and out with almost no variation at all. This is often considered the quietest stretch of your entire respiratory rhythm, a stretch where your body has fully committed to rest, where no extra demand competes for the air moving through your lungs. It is a small, easily overlooked kind of stillness, and yet it reflects something rather remarkable, an entire complex system of muscles, nerves, and chemistry working together so smoothly that it produces almost no disturbance at all. In these hours, your breath becomes less like something your body does and more like something it simply is, a constant, gentle undertone beneath sleep itself. There is comfort in imagining it this way, this soft, continuous breath moving through the dark, asking nothing, disturbing nothing, simply keeping its old and steady promise through every quiet hour until morning finally begins to arrive. Long before you ever notice the first pale light at the window, this same unhurried rhythm has already carried you through. One gentle breath quietly following another, patient and unbroken, the truest kind of stillness a body can offer through the long, dark hours of rest. It is easy to imagine that your brain simply switches off once you fall asleep, the way a lamp goes dark when the switch is flipped. But nothing could be further from what actually happens in those quiet hours. Your brain remains remarkably active throughout the night, humming along with its own patterns of electrical activity, simply organized in a very different way than during the busy hours of being awake. Instead of the quick, varied signals of active thought, your neurons settle into long, slow, coordinated waves, sweeping gently across the brain like slow tides moving across a wide, calm sea. This shift is not a shutdown at all, but a change of task, a move from the moment-to-moment demands of waking life into a different, equally important kind of work. In some ways, your brain is busier at night than you might expect, quietly sorting, cleaning, and strengthening itself while your body lies still. So while sleep looks from the outside like stillness and silence, underneath it your mind is engaged in one of its most essential and carefully orchestrated undertakings, a whole shift of work carried out entirely without your awareness. During the deepest part of your sleep, your brain produces long, slow waves of electrical activity called delta waves, among the largest and most unhurried patterns your neurons ever create. These waves roll through the brain gently and rhythmically, sometimes only a handful of times each second, a stark contrast to the quick, busy signals that fill your mind while you are awake and thinking. Researchers consider this slow wave activity to be one of the clearest signs of truly restorative sleep, the stage where your body and brain seem most deeply given over to rest. It is during these long, rolling waves that much of the important background work of the night quietly takes place, memories being organized, tissues being repaired, energy stores being replenished. There is something almost hypnotic in picturing it, these broad, unhurried waves moving again and again across your resting mind, patient and enormous compared to the fast flickers of daytime thought. They ask for nothing, expect no response, and simply continue, wave after wave, filling your deepest sleep with their slow and steady rhythm, until eventually the pattern shifts again, and a lighter stage begins to take their place. One of the quiet, essential jobs your brain performs at night is sorting through the memories gathered over the course of your day, and moving some of them into longer-term storage. A small, curved structure called the hippocampus, tucked deep within your brain, holds onto the freshest impressions of your day, and while you sleep, it gently replays and shares these impressions with your brain's outer layer, the cortex, where they can be woven into more lasting memory. This process is often described as memory consolidation, a slow, careful transfer that seems to happen especially during the deep, slow-wave stages of sleep. It is a little like moving belongings from a temporary box into a permanent shelf, taking care that nothing important gets lost along the way. You are never aware of this quiet cataloging as it happens, and yet it shapes so much of what you carry forward from one day into the next. Somewhere in the stillness of the night, small fragments of your day, a conversation, a face, a fleeting thought, are being gently folded into the deeper fabric of your memory, patiently, invisibly, one slow wave at a time. While you sleep, your brain also carries out a gentle kind of housekeeping, using a quiet system of channels that widen at night to let cerebrospinal fluid move more freely through the tissue surrounding your neurons. This is often called the glymphatic system, and it works something like a slow, nighttime rinse, gently clearing away the small metabolic leftovers that accumulate during a busy day of thinking. Researchers believe this cleansing flow becomes considerably more active during deep sleep, when the tiny spaces between brain cells relax and expand just enough to let fluid pass through more easily. It is a soft, unhurried process, more like a tide washing gently over sand than any kind of forceful cleaning, and it continues for as long as you remain in your deepest rest. You never feel this happening, of course, any more than you feel your lungs moving air or your heart moving blood, and yet it is one of the small quiet reasons your mind so often feels clearer after a full night's sleep. Somewhere in the dark, this soft internal tide keeps moving, patiently tending to the quiet upkeep of the very tissue that makes all your thinking possible. Alongside memory and cleansing, your brain spends part of the night quietly sorting through the emotional texture of your day, gently processing feelings that arose while you were awake and folding them into a calmer, more settled perspective by morning. This sorting seems to lean heavily on the dreaming stages of sleep, when your brain revisits emotional moments in a softer, less charged form, almost as though it were smoothing out the rough edges of the day while you rest. Scientists studying this process describe it as a kind of overnight recalibration, where the same events that felt sharp or vivid during waking hours are gently reframed, examined from a gentler distance. You are never aware of this quiet emotional work as it unfolds, and yet many people notice that a difficult moment from the day before often feels softer, more manageable once morning arrives. It is one of the more remarkable things your sleeping brain does, this patient tending to feeling itself, sorting through the small emotional residue of an ordinary day and returning it to you lighter, calmer, and easier to carry forward into whatever comes next. During the dreaming stage of sleep, often called REM, your brain becomes surprisingly active, its patterns of electrical activity looking remarkably similar to the quick, varied signals of full wakefulness, even though your body remains still and your eyes stay closed. This is part of why REM sleep is sometimes described as an especially vivid stage, a period where your mind seems to light up with its own inner world, weaving together images, sounds, and feelings into the shifting landscape of a dream. Beneath your closed eyelids, your eyes may move gently back and forth, following the unseen motion of whatever your mind is picturing in that moment. Meanwhile, the rest of your body stays remarkably relaxed, almost as if held gently in place, allowing your brain to wander freely without disturbing your rest. Researchers still find a great deal to explore in what exactly happens during these vivid stretches, but it is clear that REM sleep represents one of the most active and fascinating chapters of your night, a stretch where your brain, far from being quiet, seems to be almost as busy as it ever gets, only turned entirely inward. Deep within your sleeping brain, tiny patterns of neural activity that fired earlier in the day are sometimes replayed at night, almost like a soft echo of the day's experiences passing quietly through your mind once more. Researchers have observed this replay especially clearly in the hippocampus, where sequences of activity linked to something learned or experienced during the day can reappear during sleep, often compressed into a much shorter span of time. This gentle repetition seems to help strengthen the connections tied to those experiences, giving your brain another quiet pass at organizing and reinforcing what it considers worth keeping. It happens far below the surface of anything you could notice or control, a private, wordless rehearsal carried out entirely by your resting mind. There is something rather lovely in imagining it this way, small fragments of your day quietly replaying themselves in the dark over and over, gently reinforced each time, like a favorite passage in a book being read again just to make sure it is remembered well. By morning, this quiet repetition has already done its part, woven invisibly into the deeper fabric of everything you carry forward. Even though your brain remains active all through the night, it actually uses its energy a little differently than during the busy hours of being awake, easing back from the sharper demands of focused thought into a steadier, more economical rhythm. Blood flow and glucose use shift gradually across the different stages of sleep, dipping during the deepest, slow-wave hours and rising again during the more active stretches of dreaming. This gentle ebb and flow reflects the changing nature of the work being done, quieter maintenance during the deepest hours, more vivid activity during REM, each stage asking for just the right amount of fuel to do its particular job well. Your brain, in other words, is not simply running at full power all night long, but adjusting its effort with a kind of quiet wisdom, spending more when there is more to do and easing back when the work is gentler. It is a beautifully efficient system, tuned over countless nights of practice, and it continues its careful budgeting entirely on its own, needing nothing from you but the stillness and darkness that let it carry on undisturbed until morning finally arrives. Throughout the night, your brain also spends time quietly adjusting the countless tiny connections between neurons, gently strengthening some and softening others, a process researchers sometimes describe as a kind of overnight fine-tuning. After a full day of taking in new sights, sounds, and small pieces of learning, the connections between your neurons can grow a little crowded, and sleep seems to offer a chance to trim this back to a more balanced, sustainable level. This gentle pruning helps make room for whatever the next day will bring, keeping the whole system responsive rather than overloaded. It is thought to happen especially during the deep, slow-wave stages, when your brain's overall activity settles into its calmest, most rhythmic state. None of this adjusting ever rises into your awareness, of course. It unfolds in the smallest, most microscopic corners of your nervous system, far below anything you could ever consciously observe. And yet, night after night, this quiet tidying continues, keeping your mind clear and ready, refreshing the very foundation of thought itself while you rest peacefully above it, entirely unaware of just how much careful work is being done. By the time morning finally approaches, your brain has moved through this whole quiet sequence of nightly work, memories gently filed away, feelings softened and settled, tiny connections tuned and refreshed, all while you rested in what looked from the outside like simple stillness. There is something wonderfully reassuring in knowing that so much careful, patient labor happens each night without asking anything of you at all. No effort, no attention, nothing but the willingness to lie still and let the process unfold in its own unhurried time. Your brain does not rush through any of it, moving instead at the same slow, steady pace as the long waves that carried you through the deepest hours, patient and thorough in a way that mirrors the whole quiet character of the night itself. Somewhere in that darkness, an entire hidden shift of work is completed, finished quietly and without fanfare, so that by the time your eyes open again, your mind feels a little clearer, a little lighter, ready to begin again. It is, in its own gentle way, one of the most remarkable things your body does each and every night, all while you simply rest. Your skin renews itself while you sleep, quietly and without any effort on your part, as the outermost layer sheds its oldest, most tired cells and fresh ones rise gently to take their place. This slow turnover happens all day too, but it leans into a steadier rhythm at night, when your body isn't busy directing blood and attention toward movement, digestion of a fresh meal, or the thousand small distractions of daylight. Skin cells divide a little more actively in these hours, nudged along by the same internal clock that dims your alertness and cools your core temperature. You don't feel any of this happening, of course. There's no sensation to it, no signal, just the quiet biology of replacement continuing beneath the surface, the way a shoreline is smoothed by tides that no one watches. By morning, a faint layer of yesterday has been swept away and a faint layer of today has settled into place, so that over weeks and months your skin is, in a very real sense, always being rewritten, page by page, while you rest, and this rewriting favors the dark, unhurried hours when everything else in you has gone quiet enough to let it happen. Small scrapes, tiny nicks, the little abrasions that daily life leaves behind without you ever really noticing them, tend to heal a little faster overnight when your body's attention isn't divided 100 ways. Blood flow shifts and settles, immune cells patrol the tissue more freely, and the small chemical signals that call for repair don't have to compete with the business of standing, walking, or reaching for things all day. It's less about drama and more about focus, the way a quiet house lets you notice things you'd otherwise walk past. In these hours, tiny clusters of cells at the edges of a minor scrape draw closer together, laying down the first thin threads of new tissue, sealing gaps that are often too small to ever become a proper mark. Growth signals that rise during deep sleep lend a hand here too, encouraging these modest repairs along at a gentler pace than daytime allows. None of this needs your awareness, and none of it asks anything of you. It simply proceeds in the background, patient and unhurried, one of the countless small kindnesses your body performs for itself each night while your mind has wandered off entirely elsewhere, into whatever soft and formless place sleep carries it. Collagen, the quiet scaffolding that gives your skin its structure and its gentle resilience, gets a boost in production during the night, particularly during the deeper stretches of sleep when hormone levels shift in its favor. Fibroblasts, the specialized cells responsible for building this protein, seem to work with a bit more steadiness once the day's cortisol has settled and growth hormone has risen to take its place, offering these cells a more favorable chemical climate to do their slow, patient weaving. Collagen doesn't appear all at once. It's laid down thread by thread in a mesh too fine to notice, reinforcing the deeper layers of skin the way a gardener quietly reinforces a trellis, one tie at a time, without disturbing the plant itself. Over a single night, this contributes only the faintest measure of renewal, but across thousands of nights, it becomes part of what keeps skin supple and resilient for years. There's a pleasant symmetry to it, this idea that something as ordinary as sleep participates directly in something as tangible as the material structure of your own body, one strand added quietly to the last, while you lie still and breathe slowly and think of absolutely nothing at all. Blood vessels near the surface of your skin widen slightly as night deepens, carrying a little more warmth toward your hands, your feet, your face, part of the gentle thermoregulation that accompanies falling asleep and staying asleep. This isn't just about comfort, though it does explain why your feet often feel warm just before you drift off. It also means nutrients and oxygen reach the skin's outer layers a little more generously during these hours, supporting all the quiet renewal happening there. Your body core cools by a small margin at night, and in a kind of balancing act, it redirects some of that warmth outward, dilating vessels near the skin so that heat can escape gradually rather than all at once. This subtle redistribution of blood flow is one of the lesser-known rhythms of the night, easy to overlook because it produces no dramatic sensation, only a faint softening of temperature at the edges of you. It happens on its own schedule, tied to the same internal clock that governs everything else about sleep, a slow tide of warmth moving outward while you rest, carrying with it the raw materials your skin quietly puts to use until morning arrives and the pattern gently reverses itself again. Muscles that carried you through the day, that lifted, reached, balanced, and steadied you without much thanks, get their most attentive repair work done while you sleep. Growth hormone rises in pulses through the night, especially during the deeper stages of sleep, and this hormone nudges muscle tissue toward protein synthesis, the slow rebuilding of tiny fibers that were stressed, however mildly, by an ordinary day of moving through the world. You don't need to have exercised strenuously for this to matter. Even walking, standing, carrying a bag, or simply holding your posture upright creates small amounts of wear that your body prefers to mend during rest rather than during the busier hours. Blood flow to muscle tissue shifts as you lie still, and amino acids, the small building blocks of protein, are drawn toward the fibers that need them most. It's an unglamorous kind of maintenance, invisible and continuous, more like the nightly work of resetting a stage after a performance than any single dramatic act of repair. By the time morning arrives, this quiet rebuilding has usually smoothed over the day's minor wear, leaving your muscles a little more ready, a little more restored, for whatever the next day happens to ask of them. As sleep deepens, your muscles let go of tension in stages, first the ones you were consciously holding tight, and later, more subtly, the countless small muscles you never think about at all, the ones around your jaw, your eyes, your shoulders, that carry quiet tightness through an ordinary day without you ever noticing. This gradual release isn't a single event but a slow unwinding, following the descent through lighter sleep into deeper stages, where muscle tone drops to some of its lowest points of the whole day. In the deepest, most restorative stretches of sleep, and especially during the dreaming stage, large voluntary muscles enter a state of near-complete relaxation, almost as though your body has set them fully aside for the night, trusting that nothing will be asked of them until morning. This deep stillness isn't wasted time from your body's perspective. A fully relaxed muscle is far easier to repair, resupply, and recondition than one still holding onto tension. So your body times its most important maintenance work to coincide with this relaxation, working quietly while your muscles rest more completely than they ever do while you're awake, loosened thread by thread until there's nothing left holding on but the soft, even rhythm of your breathing. Even your bones, solid and unmoving as they seem, are engaged in a slow, ongoing renovation that continues through the night, governed by two types of cells working in patient balance, one gently clearing away old bone tissue, the other laying down new material in its place. This process, often called remodeling, unfolds over weeks and months rather than single nights. But the nighttime hours still play their part, since hormonal shifts during sleep, particularly the rise of growth hormone, help tip this balance toward rebuilding. Bones are living tissue, after all, constantly refreshing themselves in a cycle so slow it's easy to forget it's happening at all, rather like a house being quietly replastered room by room over the course of years, never all at once, never in a way that draws attention to itself. Sleep offers a stretch of calm, low-activity time in which this remodeling can proceed without the mechanical demands of walking, lifting, or standing pulling resources elsewhere. Night after night, this contributes its small share to a bone's ongoing strength, an unhurried process with no fixed finish line, simply continuing, one quiet layer at a time, for as long as you live and rest and breathe. Tendons and ligaments, the tough connective fibers that hold your joints together and let your muscles pull against something solid, undergo their own slow, understated repair overnight, though at a gentler pace than muscle tissue, since they carry less blood flow and turn over more gradually by nature. Even so, sleep offers them the same essential gift it offers everything else, an extended stretch without mechanical load, a chance for the small, specialized cells within these tissues to lay down fresh collagen fibers and reinforce the fine, wavy structure that gives tendons their springy resilience. This work happens slowly, more like the patient restringing of an old instrument than the flash of a repair, thread by thread, in a rhythm that matches the tissue's naturally unhurried pace. Growth hormone and other repair signals that circulate more freely during deep sleep offer some support here too, nudging this quiet reinforcement along even though connective tissue was never built to change quickly. Over the span of many nights, this steady, incremental process helps keep tendons and ligaments supple and strong, a kind of long, slow maintenance schedule running in the background of your life, mostly unnoticed, mostly unfelt, simply continuing while you rest in the dark. Growth hormone rises in its largest pulse of the day shortly after you fall into deep sleep, and this single hormonal surge acts almost like a conductor's signal, cueing many of the repair processes happening elsewhere in your body to begin their work together. It encourages cells throughout your skin, muscles, bones, and connective tissue to take up amino acids, to synthesize new proteins, to lean toward building rather than breaking down, all within a fairly narrow window of the night. This is one of the reasons deep sleep carries such quiet importance for physical restoration, since so much of this coordinated repair clusters around these specific hours rather than spreading evenly across the whole night. The timing isn't arbitrary. Your body has arranged things so that its most demanding maintenance work lines up with the period when you're least likely to be moving, eating, or otherwise pulling resources toward anything else. It's a bit like scheduling all the deliveries to a house for the 1 hour when no one is home to be disturbed by them. Every tissue benefits a little differently, but the underlying signal is shared, one hormone rippling outward to set a dozen quiet repair projects gently into motion. Taken all together, this nightly repair work forms a kind of rhythm your body has kept for as long as it has existed, a recurring shift from daytime wear toward nighttime renewal that plays out in skin, muscle, bone, and tendon alike, each on its own timeline, each drawing from the same shared pool of hormones and blood flow and quiet cellular attention. None of it announces itself. There's no moment where you'd feel a scrape closing or a muscle fiber rebuilding or a bone quietly reinforcing itself. Only the accumulated result, noticed weeks or months later as a body that has, in its own unhurried way, kept itself steadily maintained. It's a strangely comforting thought that so much careful, deliberate work happens entirely without your involvement, needing nothing from you but the willingness to lie still and let the hours pass. Your body doesn't rush this process and it doesn't skip steps. It simply proceeds at whatever pace the tissue in question naturally allows, some repairs finishing before dawn, others continuing quietly across many nights in a row. And so, night after night, this slow regeneration continues beneath the surface, an old and patient rhythm, still running now, exactly as you rest. Long after your last meal has settled, your digestive system keeps working through the night, though at a noticeably gentler pace than during the day, easing into a slower, quieter rhythm the way a busy street empties out after dark. Muscles lining your stomach and intestines continue their steady, wave-like contractions, moving whatever remains along the digestive tract, breaking it down further, drawing out the last useful nutrients before passing the rest along. This isn't a sudden shutdown, but a gradual dimming, similar to how a kitchen after a big dinner doesn't go instantly silent but slowly winds down, one quiet task at a time, until only the faintest hum of activity remains. Your body still needs this ongoing digestive work overnight, since sleep itself demands its own share of steady, quiet energy, and that energy depends on nutrients still being processed and made available even while you're perfectly still. There's something soothing in knowing this part of you never fully stops, that somewhere beneath your ribs, a slow, patient rhythm continues regardless of whether you're aware of it, carrying on through the darkest, quietest hours, the same way a river keeps moving long after everyone on its banks has gone inside and settled in for the night. Between meals, and especially overnight when no new food is arriving, your intestines shift into a distinctive housekeeping rhythm known as the migrating motor complex, a slow, sweeping wave of contractions that begins near your stomach and travels steadily down through your small intestine. Its purpose is wonderfully practical. It clears out leftover debris, sweeps along anything that digestion didn't fully use, and keeps the whole tract tidy and ready for whatever comes next. This wave repeats roughly every 90 minutes to 2 hours when your stomach is empty, rolling through in slow, patient cycles that continue whether you're awake or deeply asleep, indifferent to the hour, simply following its own steady internal schedule. There's something almost musical in its repetition, a long, unhurried refrain playing quietly through the night, verse after verse, each pass a little sweep of tidying that keeps your digestive system from growing cluttered. You never feel this happening in any specific way you could point to, since it operates well below the threshold of conscious sensation, and yet it continues faithfully, night after night, one of those background rhythms your body maintains entirely on its own, a slow tide moving through you while you rest in the soft, undisturbed dark. The trillions of microbes living quietly in your gut keep their own daily rhythm, rising and falling in activity across roughly a 24-hour cycle, much like the rest of you, shifting in number and behavior depending on the hour. Certain bacterial populations grow more active in the evening and through the night, while others ease back, creating a kind of rotating shift schedule down there that mirrors, in its own small way, the sleep-wake rhythm playing out in the rest of your body. This microbial rhythm appears to be closely tied to when you eat and when you rest, adjusting itself gradually over days to match your habits, the way a household slowly settles into a shared schedule. Through the night, while digestion slows and the migrating housekeeping waves sweep through, these microbial communities continue their own quiet metabolic work, producing small byproducts, interacting gently with the lining of your gut, going about business that has continued, largely unchanged, for as long as humans have existed. It's a strange and lovely thought that an entire hidden ecosystem inside you keeps its own nightly clock, rising and settling in its own tides, entirely in step with the same darkness that settles you into sleep. Your liver, tucked quietly beneath your ribs, takes on what amounts to a night shift once you fall asleep, continuing to filter, process, and balance countless substances circulating through your blood, all without pause and without any need for your attention. It keeps a steady watch over blood sugar through the night, releasing small, measured amounts of stored glucose to keep your energy supply level while you're not eating. A slow and careful metering that unfolds over many hours rather than all at once. It also continues processing nutrients absorbed earlier in the evening, converting and storing them in forms your body can call upon later, and quietly manages the many other compounds that pass through it as part of its constant, wide-ranging upkeep. None of this asks anything of you. The liver simply continues its long list of duties in the dark, calibrated to your body's needs even while you're perfectly unaware of it. There's a steadiness to this nightly work, an evenness of pace that suits an organ built for endurance rather than urgency. By morning, it has quietly kept your internal chemistry balanced through 8 hours of stillness, ready to shift its rhythm again as soon as daylight and a new meal arrive. Your overall metabolism slows through the night, easing into a lower gear the way a long day finally lets a busy household go quiet, with less energy spent on digestion, movement, and general upkeep than during your waking hours. And yet certain organs, your liver chief among them, remain steadily active underneath this broader stillness, tending to slower, more deliberate tasks that don't require the higher energy demands of daytime activity. This dip in overall metabolic rate isn't a failure of anything. It's simply your body redirecting its available energy toward the kind of quiet maintenance that benefits from stillness rather than motion, the way a workshop might dim its lights for detail work rather than heavy machinery. Your core temperature drops slightly in step with this slower pace, part of the same broad shift that eases you into and through sleep. Hormones that regulate hunger and energy use settle into their own overnight pattern as well, adjusting gradually so that your body isn't asking for fuel in the same way it does during an active day. It's a gentle, coordinated slowdown, unfolding across many systems at once, each easing back together, allowing your body the calm, low-energy stretch it needs to carry out its other, quieter nighttime work. The muscles lining your intestines don't stop their rolling, wave-like motion just because you've fallen asleep. They simply continue at a slower, steadier pace, gently moving material along the digestive tract through the night in the same basic rhythm they follow during the day, only softened, unhurried, more like a slow tide than a purposeful current. This ongoing motion, called peristalsis, is largely automatic, governed by its own nervous system built right into the gut wall, one that doesn't need direction from your conscious mind to keep functioning smoothly. Through the night, these contractions continue their patient work, moving remnants of your last meal further along, mixing them gently, extracting whatever nutrients remain to be drawn out. The pace eases compared to daytime, matching the slower overall rhythm of your sleeping body, but it never fully stops, since digestion is one of those background processes that simply carries on regardless of the hour. There's a kind of quiet reliability to this, the sense that some systems in your body were built to run continuously, without breaks, without rest of their own, faithfully turning over the same slow motion night after night while everything above them, your thoughts, your awareness, has drifted off into stillness. The lining of your intestines, much like your skin, renews itself on a steady schedule, and a good portion of this renewal happens to unfold during the quieter overnight hours when digestion has eased into its slower nighttime pace. Cells along this delicate inner surface turn over remarkably quickly compared to most other tissue in your body, constantly replaced as older cells are gently shed and new ones rise to take their place, keeping this crucial barrier fresh and capable of its ongoing work. Nighttime offers a favorable window for this renewal, since the demanding, high-volume work of processing a fresh meal has usually settled by then, leaving more of the gut's attention free for maintenance rather than active digestion. This quiet turnover helps keep the lining smooth and functional, supporting everything else your digestive system does, from nutrient absorption to its long partnership with the microbial communities living just alongside it. It's an unassuming kind of renewal, one you'd never notice from the outside, unfolding cell by cell in a rhythm that has continued, uninterrupted for your entire life. And so, deep inside you, this soft inner surface keeps quietly rebuilding itself, night after night, in perfect step with everything else winding down around it. Nutrients from your evening meal don't finish being absorbed the moment you close your eyes. That process continues gradually into the earlier stretches of the night, as your small intestine keeps drawing sugars, fats, and proteins from digested food and passing them into your bloodstream at a slow, steady rate. This gradual absorption helps explain why your body can maintain a fairly even energy supply through the night, even without any new food arriving, since these nutrients continue trickling in modest amounts well after dinner has ended, spreading their contribution across several hours rather than releasing everything all at once. Blood flow to the intestines remains present, though somewhat reduced compared to daytime, still enough to carry these nutrients onward to wherever they are needed, whether that's ongoing muscle repair, liver metabolism, or simply keeping your baseline system steady. This slow trailing absorption is one of the quieter reasons why a full night of rest can feel so restorative, since your body isn't left without resources partway through, even as digestion itself winds down. It's a gentle, tapering process, more like the last light fading gradually from the sky than any sudden and complete darkness. Nutrients still arriving in small, steady measures long after the meal itself has been forgotten. Bile, the fluid your liver produces and your gallbladder stores to help break down fats, follows its own daily rhythm too, released in larger amounts around meal times and settling into a slower, steadier trickle through the night when there's little new food arriving to greet it. This rhythm is tied to the same internal clock that governs sleep, hunger, and so many other bodily patterns, coordinating bile release with the times you're most likely to actually need it, rather than producing it at a constant, wasteful rate around the clock. Through the night, smaller amounts continue to be released, gently supporting the slow, ongoing digestion of whatever remains from your last meal, aiding in the same unhurried breakdown that the rest of your gut is quietly carrying out. This kind of timed release reflects just how deeply your digestive system is woven into your broader daily rhythm, each part adjusting its output to match the hour rather than working blindly around the clock. It's a subtle kind of coordination, easy to overlook, yet present in nearly every corner of your digestive process, bile included, each substance released not constantly but thoughtfully, in step with the same quiet, cyclical pattern that carries you gently from evening into night and toward morning. As night gives way to the earliest hours of morning, your digestive system begins to prepare for the shift back toward full activity, even before you've properly woken, adjusting hormone levels and blood flow patterns in anticipation of the day's first meal. This transition is gradual rather than sudden, following the same soft, unhurried logic that governed the slowdown hours earlier, easing your gut from its slow nighttime rhythm back toward a livelier daytime pace. The migrating housekeeping waves that swept through overnight taper off as morning approaches, having done their quiet work of keeping everything clear and ready. Your liver, having spent the night steadily balancing your blood sugar, begins shifting its focus toward whatever new nutrients the coming hours will bring. Even your gut's microbial communities begin their own gentle shift in activity, settling into whatever pattern the daylight hours typically call for. None of this requires any effort from you, no signal you'd consciously notice, only the quiet unwinding of one rhythm as another gently takes its place. In this way, your gut spends its whole night working steadily in the background, never fully at rest, simply moving through its own slow, patient cycle until it's ready once again to meet the day. As the room grows dark around you, a small gland deep in the center of your brain begins its quiet nightly work, releasing a hormone called melatonin into your bloodstream. This gland, no larger than a grain of rice, is remarkably sensitive to light, and it waits for true darkness before it starts to speak to the rest of your body. The moment your eyes stop registering daylight, signals travel along a hidden pathway toward this gland, and it responds by producing more and more melatonin with each passing minute. You do not feel this happening, yet it shapes everything that follows, easing your body out of its daytime alertness and into something softer. Melatonin does not force sleep so much as it opens a door toward it, lowering your inner readiness for wakefulness and inviting your whole system to slow down together. Somewhere in the quiet hours, levels climb high, cradling you through the deepest part of the night. Then, as dawn approaches, they gently fall away again, almost like a tide retreating from the shore, leaving you ready to greet the light once more, unhurried at your own natural pace, night after night, in this same soft rhythm. In the deepest hours of the night, your melatonin levels rise to their highest point, somewhere around the middle of your sleep, long after the house has gone still and the streets outside have quieted. This peak does not arrive all at once, but builds slowly, hour by hour, tracing a smooth curve that mirrors the darkness surrounding you. Scientists who study this rhythm describe it as one of the most reliable signals in the whole human body, rising and falling with a predictability that mirrors the turning of the earth itself. During this peak, your body settles into its most restful state, temperature dipping slightly, breathing slowing, muscles loosening their hold. It is as though this hormone gathers everything softly inward, holding you there in stillness while the outside world sleeps too. Then gradually, without any sudden shift, the levels begin to recede, easing lower as the earliest hints of morning light start to filter through, even before your eyes have opened. This slow descent prepares your body to meet the day ahead, gently, the way a tide slips back from the shore, leaving behind the calm of a night well spent, ready to begin again with the very first light. Deep within your deepest stage of sleep, your pituitary gland releases growth hormone in warm, generous pulses, timed almost perfectly with the slow, rolling brainwaves of that stage. This release happens mostly in the earlier part of the night, when your body sinks into its most profound rest, the kind where breathing steadies into a long, even rhythm, and the world outside seems to fade completely away. Growth hormone moves quietly through your bloodstream during these pulses, reaching muscles, bones, and tissues throughout your body, carrying with it the quiet work of repair and renewal that daylight hours rarely allow. Researchers have found that this hormone's rhythm is so closely tied to deep sleep that the two seem to rise and fall together, almost like old companions moving in step. As the night continues and your sleep shifts through its later, lighter stages, the pulses become smaller and further apart, tapering gently rather than stopping abruptly. It is a slow handoff, one phase easing into the next without any jolt. By morning, this rhythm has done its quiet work for the night, resting until darkness returns and invites it to rise again, patient and unhurried, exactly as it always has. Your cortisol levels follow one of the oldest rhythms in the body, drifting to their lowest point somewhere around midnight, just as the rest of you has settled most deeply into rest. Through the earliest hours of sleep, this hormone stays remarkably quiet, allowing your body to lean fully into calm without the nudge of alertness that daytime brings. But somewhere in the later stretch of the night, often a few hours before you actually wake, cortisol begins a slow, steady climb, rising gently rather than suddenly, like a soft light growing brighter by degrees. This gradual rise is sometimes called the body's own quiet alarm, though it works nothing like a bell or a buzzer, more like a whisper repeated until it becomes clear. By the time morning fully arrives, levels have climbed enough to help ease you out of sleep, providing a natural lift of readiness just as your eyes begin to open. This arc, from its lowest point in darkness to its highest point near dawn, unfolds on almost the same schedule every day, guided by your internal clock rather than any clock on the wall, a rhythm so old it seems woven into the shape of a night's rest. As you drift through the night, two familiar hormones quietly shift their balance, shaping how hungry or satisfied you feel long before morning arrives. Leptin, sometimes described as the hormone of fullness, tends to rise through the nighttime hours, whispering gentle signals of contentment to the brain even while you sleep. Ghrelin, its steady counterpart, tends to ease rather than surge, its usual daytime urges quieted by the same rhythms that keep your whole body settled. Together, these two hormones seem to negotiate a kind of nightly truce, one rising as the other softens, so that hunger rarely disturbs a well-settled night the way it might during a long afternoon. This balance depends closely on your internal clock, the same quiet timekeeper that governs melatonin and growth hormone, weaving appetite into the broader rhythm of rest. Scientists who study these signals describe them less as isolated switches and more as slow-moving tides, drifting gradually rather than snapping suddenly from one state to another. By the earliest hours of morning, this balance begins to shift again, preparing your body for the appetite of a new day. It is a quiet, unhurried exchange, happening entirely without your notice, night after night, as steady as breathing. Long before scientists understood the details, they suspected that the body kept time somehow, and now it is clear that nearly every cell you have carries its own small clock. These are not just clocks in the brain, but tiny molecular rhythms ticking away inside cells of the liver, the skin, the muscles, and nearly every other tissue you can name. Each of these cellular clocks runs on a cycle lasting roughly 24 hours, quietly turning certain genes on and certain genes off in a pattern that repeats night after night. A master clock, tucked into a small region of the brain, acts something like a conductor, sending out signals that help keep all these smaller clocks gently synchronized with one another. Yet each cell still holds a measure of independence, humming along to a rhythm unmistakably its own, even while listening for cues from the greater whole. At night, many shift into modes tuned for repair and quiet maintenance, favoring slow, careful processes over the busier work of daytime hours. It is a lovely thought that somewhere inside every part of you, a small timekeeper quietly marks the hours, following the same unhurried rhythm as the night around you. Your thyroid, a small butterfly-shaped gland resting at the base of your neck, follows its own gentle rhythm through the night, easing its usual output as your body settles into rest. Thyroid-stimulating hormone, the signal that governs how active this gland becomes, tends to rise in the evening hours and reach one of its higher points sometime before midnight, before gradually softening as sleep deepens. This subtle rise and fall reflects a broader pattern found throughout the body's hormonal systems, one where evening and early night bring a kind of gathering hush before deeper rest fully arrives. Because the thyroid influences how your body manages energy, warmth, and the pace of countless quiet processes, its nighttime rhythm plays a supporting role in the broader symphony of rest, working alongside melatonin, growth hormone, and cortisol rather than apart from them. Researchers who study these rhythms often describe the endocrine system at night as something like an orchestra tuning quietly before a long, slow piece, each instrument finding its place in time with the others. By morning, the thyroid signals shift again, easing back toward daytime levels, completing a soft, circular journey that repeats with remarkable consistency, night after night, season after season. In the quiet hours of sleep, certain reproductive hormones settle into rhythms of their own, rising gently during the deeper, more restful stretches of the night. Testosterone, for instance, tends to reach some of its higher points during the earlier hours of sleep, particularly during the deep, slow-wave stages that dominate the first part of the night. This rise unfolds gradually, without any sudden surge, tracing a soft arc that climbs through the darkest hours before easing again as morning light approaches. Researchers who study these overnight patterns often note how closely they are tied to the overall architecture of sleep itself, rising and falling in step with the natural progression from lighter to deeper rest and back again. It is one more example of how deeply intertwined your hormonal life is with the quality and rhythm of your nightly rest, each system leaning on the other for its own steady expression. By the time you wake, this rhythm has already completed much of its quiet work, settling into the levels that will carry you gently into the day ahead. It is a slow, private rhythm, unfolding largely in darkness, following the same patient timing night after night, unnoticed yet steadily present. As sleep deepens, another hormone quietly rises alongside the others, one called prolactin, known mostly for its gentle, nurturing associations, though it plays a broader role through the night than many people realize. Its levels tend to climb not long after you fall asleep, reaching some of their higher points during the deep, restful hours that follow, before easing back as morning approaches. This rhythm seems closely tied to the overall structure of your sleep, rising in step with deeper stages and softening again as sleep grows lighter toward dawn. Scientists studying this pattern often describe prolactin as part of the body's broader nighttime effort toward rest and restoration, working quietly in the background rather than announcing itself the way alertness or hunger might. Its rise through the night seems to favor calm, settled states, appearing most prominent during the very stretches of sleep when the body is least active and most inwardly focused. Though far less discussed than melatonin or growth hormone, prolactin's steady nighttime rhythm adds one more layer to the quiet chemistry of rest, one more voice in the soft chorus that rises and falls each night, following its own unhurried and dependable timing. Behind every one of these nighttime hormonal rhythms sits a small cluster of cells deep within the brain, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, acting something like a quiet conductor guiding a very slow, very patient orchestra. This tiny structure receives information about light and darkness directly from the eyes, and uses that information to set the pace for melatonin, cortisol, growth hormone, and many other rhythms that rise and fall through the night. It does not control every detail itself, but rather sends out gentle timing signals, nudging various systems to stay roughly in step with one another and with the natural cycle of day and night outside. Scientists sometimes describe this structure as the master clock of the body, though it works far more like a soft-spoken timekeeper than a strict overseer, allowing plenty of room for each system's own natural variation. Through the darkest hours, its signals favor rest, repair, and the slow unwinding of daytime tension, while as morning approaches, it gradually shifts its guidance toward wakefulness once more. Night after night, this quiet conductor keeps the whole hormonal orchestra moving together, unnoticed yet essential, following the same patient rhythm your body has carried since the very beginning of your life. While you rest, certain immune cells become more active than they are during the busier hours of daylight, moving through your body with a kind of quiet purpose. T cells, one of the immune system's most important travelers, tend to show greater activity and stronger attachment to other cells during nighttime hours, settling into tissues where they can do their patient work most effectively. This heightened nighttime activity seems tied closely to the same hormonal rhythms that guide sleep itself, as though the immune system and the sleep cycle move together in a kind of slow, practiced dance. During the day, these cells often circulate more freely through the bloodstream, but at night, many settle more deeply into the tissues and lymph nodes, taking up positions suited to quieter, more deliberate work. Researchers who study this rhythm describe it as one of the immune system's own internal schedules, shaped by darkness just as surely as melatonin or growth hormone are. It is a gentle reminder that the body's protective systems do not rest passively through the night, but instead shift into their own particular rhythm of activity, quietly present and attentive while the rest of you drifts through untroubled, restorative sleep. Certain small messenger molecules called cytokines rise and fall through the night in their own steady rhythm, carrying quiet signals between different parts of your immune system while you sleep. Some of these messengers tend to increase during the earlier, deeper stages of rest, coordinating the slow, careful work that immune cells carry out during those hours. This rise happens gradually, following the same unhurried pace found throughout so many of the body's nighttime rhythms, rather than arriving in any sudden burst. Scientists studying these patterns often note how closely tied they are to the overall architecture of sleep, appearing most prominent during the deep, restful stages that dominate the earlier part of the night. It is as though these molecules act like small messengers passed quietly between departments, keeping different parts of the immune system informed and gently synchronized with one another. As sleep continues through its later, lighter stages, this signaling settles into a calmer rhythm, easing toward the levels associated with daytime wakefulness. By morning, the overnight exchange has largely completed its quiet task, leaving behind a system that feels, in its own way, freshly attended to, ready to carry its steady work forward into the hours of a new day. Deep within your body, a slow and quiet network called the lymphatic system moves fluid gently through your tissues, carrying away the small remnants of the day's activity at its own unhurried pace. Unlike blood, which is pushed forcefully by the beating of your heart, lymph relies mostly on the slow movement of your muscles and the natural rhythm of your breathing to make its way through the body. At night, as your body settles into stillness, this movement slows even further, tracing a patient, meandering path through vessels that thread quietly beneath the surface. Within the brain itself, a related system, sometimes called the glymphatic pathway, becomes especially active during deep sleep, allowing fluid to wash gently through the spaces between cells, carrying away the accumulated residue of a long day of thought. Researchers have found that this clearing process seems to favor the quiet, undisturbed hours of nighttime rest, working best when the body has settled fully into sleep. It is a soft, continuous rhythm, largely invisible, moving at the pace of a slow tide rather than a rushing current, doing its patient work while you dream, leaving your tissues and your mind just a little clearer by morning. As night settles in, your body temperature drifts gently downward, following a rhythm so reliable that scientists can almost set a clock by it, dropping to some of its lowest points in the deepest hours before dawn. This gentle cooling seems closely tied to your immune system's own nighttime rhythm, as though the two patterns move together, each supporting the other through the quiet hours of rest. Many immune cells appear to favor this slightly cooler environment, showing patterns of activity that align with the dip in temperature rather than working against it. Researchers who study these overlapping rhythms often describe the body at night as settling into a kind of coordinated stillness, where temperature, hormone levels, and immune activity all soften together into a shared, unhurried rhythm. As morning approaches, temperature begins its gradual climb back upward, rising in step with the shifting rhythms of cortisol and wakefulness, easing you toward the readiness of a new day. This nightly dip and rise, so small it rarely draws notice, reflects a much larger coordination happening quietly beneath the surface, one where warmth and coolness, rest and readiness take their turns in a slow and steady rhythm that has repeated every night of your life. While you sleep, your immune system appears to do more than simply patrol the body. It also seems to consolidate what researchers describe as a kind of immune memory, much the way your brain strengthens memories of the day during rest. Certain immune cells, once they have encountered something before, carry a memory of that encounter, and sleep appears to support the steady maintenance of these long-held immune memories. This process unfolds slowly and quietly, favoring the deep, undisturbed stages of nighttime rest rather than the lighter, more transitional stages that come later. Scientists studying this rhythm often draw gentle comparisons between the way the brain organizes memories during sleep and the way the immune system seems to reinforce its own long-term recollections during these same quiet hours. It is a subtle process, one that unfolds without any sensation at all, yet it reflects a deep and patient kind of housekeeping taking place throughout the body while you dream. By morning, this quiet consolidation has done its part, leaving behind a system a little more settled, a little more prepared, continuing a rhythm that has likely been repeating night after night for as long as living creatures have slept. Among the many quiet travelers moving through your body at night, natural killer cells follow a rhythm of their own, shifting in number and activity between the daylight hours and the darker hours of rest. These cells, named for their ability to seek out and address unwelcome changes within the body, tend to circulate differently through the bloodstream depending on the time of day, following patterns closely tied to your internal clock. During certain nighttime hours, their numbers in the blood may dip, often because many of them have settled instead into tissues where they continue their quiet surveillance from a different vantage point. This movement between blood and tissue mirrors the broader nighttime pattern seen throughout much of the immune system, where activity shifts location rather than simply pausing altogether. Researchers who study these rhythms describe natural killer cells as remarkably responsive to the body's internal timing, adjusting their circulation and readiness according to the same signals that shape sleep itself. It is one more thread in the quiet tapestry of nighttime physiology, a reminder that even the most vigilant parts of your body still follow a gentle rhythm, moving and resting in their own way, night after steady night. Through the quiet hours of sleep, your immune system tends to settle into a particular kind of balance, favoring calm, steady processes over the more energetic responses associated with daytime activity. Certain signaling patterns that promote this balance become more prominent during the deep, restful stages of the night, while other patterns typically linked with alertness ease into the background. This shift seems to reflect the body's broader nighttime philosophy, one where systems slow down together, favoring maintenance and quiet coordination rather than urgency. Researchers who study these overnight patterns often describe the immune system at night as leaning into its more contemplative, restorative mode, working steadily rather than urgently. This balance appears closely tied to the same rhythms that govern hormone release and temperature, suggesting that the whole body moves through the night as a single, coordinated system rather than a collection of separate parts. As morning approaches, this balance gradually shifts again, easing toward the patterns better suited to the activity and demands of daytime life. It is a slow, graceful transition, unfolding quietly beneath the surface of sleep, following a rhythm so old and so consistent that it seems woven into the very fabric of rest itself. Sleep appears to play a supportive role in how well your body responds and remembers, working quietly alongside the immune system's broader nighttime rhythm to help reinforce useful patterns of readiness. Researchers who study this relationship have found that well-rested nights tend to align with immune processes functioning at their steadiest, most coordinated pace, much like any other bodily rhythm that benefits from consistency. This supportive relationship seems to run in both directions, with restful sleep helping the immune system perform its patient overnight tasks, while the immune system's own quiet signals help shape the depth and rhythm of that same sleep. Scientists describe this as a kind of gentle partnership, two systems leaning on each other through the darkest hours, each doing its part to keep the other steady and well-maintained. This partnership unfolds slowly, without any dramatic shifts, favoring the same patient, unhurried pace found throughout so much of the body's nighttime physiology. By morning, this quiet collaboration has done its part, leaving behind systems that feel, in their own way, gently reinforced and ready for the day ahead, continuing a rhythm of mutual support that has likely accompanied sleep for as long as bodies have needed rest. As you sleep, your skin, the body's outermost boundary, continues its own slow work of renewal, guided by rhythms that favor the quiet hours of night over the business of daytime activity. Cell turnover in the skin tends to increase during nighttime hours, with new cells forming and older ones being gently shed at a steadier pace than during the day. Blood flow to the skin also shifts through the night, following the same broader patterns of temperature and circulation found throughout the body's other nighttime rhythms. This overnight renewal appears closely tied to the immune system's own quiet activity, since the skin serves as a kind of outer boundary that benefits from steady, ongoing maintenance. Researchers who study these patterns often note that many restorative processes throughout the body seem to favor nighttime hours, as though darkness itself provides a natural invitation for quiet repair to take place. It is a soft, continuous rhythm, largely unnoticed, unfolding beneath the surface while you rest untroubled. By morning, this slow overnight renewal has done its patient work, one small part of the much larger, coordinated rhythm that carries your whole body gently through the night, hour after hour, toward the light of a new day. As the night draws on and the whole body settles into its slowest, quietest rhythm, your immune system continues its patient watch, moving unhurried through tissues and vessels long after the rest of you has drifted into stillness. There is something almost tender about this steady vigilance, cells circulating gently, signals passing quietly between them, all while you rest completely unaware of the careful coordination unfolding beneath the surface. This nightly watch does not announce itself with any sensation, no flicker of awareness, no interruption to the calm of sleep, yet it continues nonetheless, following the same rhythms that guide temperature, hormones, and every other quiet process moving through you in darkness. Researchers who study these systems often describe nighttime physiology as a kind of hidden choreography, each part moving in step with the others, coordinated by rhythms far older than conscious thought. As the earliest light touches the sky, this quiet watch gradually eases, handing its steady work over to the rhythms of daytime wakefulness. And so it continues night after night, an unseen keeper of steady rhythm, present through every hour of rest, asking nothing but the simple gift of sleep, given freely again and again. Somewhere in the deep hours, your sleep settles into a rhythm of roughly 90 minutes, one gentle wave after another, each cycle rising and falling like slow breathing spread across the whole night. You drift down through lighter layers, sink into something heavier and quieter, and then rise again toward the surface, only to sink once more, again and again, until morning arrives almost without you noticing the seams between one cycle and the next. Scientists sometimes call this the architecture of sleep, and architecture is exactly the right word, because it really is a structure built night after night, cycle stacked gently upon cycle, each one slightly different from the last. Early in the night, the deep, slow stages tend to dominate, heavy and restorative, while later cycles lean more toward lighter, dreamier territory. Nothing about this needs to be managed or watched or counted, because your body has been doing this every single night of your life, long before you ever learned the word for it, and it will keep doing it tonight, unfolding wave after wave entirely on its own, while you simply rest and let the rhythm carry you from one soft cycle into the next, the way tides carry a boat that never has to row. During certain stretches of the night, your eyes begin to move beneath closed lids, quick little shifts back and forth, a stage researchers named REM for exactly that reason, rapid eye movement, and it is here that your most vivid dreaming tends to happen. Your eyelids stay closed, calm and still on the outside, while underneath them something quietly active is unfolding, little glances toward one imagined scene and then another, as though some part of you were watching a soft and shifting film only you can see. Brain activity during these stretches looks surprisingly close to being awake, busy and layered, even while the rest of you lies motionless and utterly relaxed. It is one of the more wonderful puzzles of sleep, this pairing of a stillness so complete on the surface with a liveliness so rich just beneath it. These REM stretches tend to grow a little longer as the night goes on, so the later cycles often carry the richest, most colorful dreaming of all. There is nothing to do with any of this, nothing to remember or chase, only the quiet fact that somewhere behind your closed eyes, gentle movements are tracing the edges of a dream, one small shift at a time, while your body stays soft and undisturbed, held safely in the dark. Alongside that dreaming stage, something quietly protective happens throughout much of your body, a kind of soft muscle stillness that settles over you like a blanket. The large muscles that would normally carry out your movements grow deeply relaxed, gentled almost to the point of pause, so that whatever unfolds inside a dream stays inside the dream, held there safely rather than spilling out into the room around you. Think of it less as a lock and more as a hush, a caretaker quietly turning down the volume on your limbs so that legs and arms rest undisturbed no matter where your mind might wander. It is one of the body's oldest and gentlest bits of design, easing you into complete safety exactly when your imagination is at its most active. Your breathing continues steady and unbothered, and your heart carries on with its familiar rhythm, because only certain muscles receive this soft hush, and even those return to their normal, easy readiness the moment you begin to stir. You never have to think about any of it, never have to ask for it, because your body arranges this quiet stillness on its own, every single night, tucking your limbs into calm precisely when your dreaming self is off wandering somewhere far away, and easing you gently back the moment morning begins. Most of what drifts through a dream tends to fade almost as soon as it forms, slipping away quietly the way morning fog lifts off a field without anyone noticing the exact moment it disappeared. Only a small fraction of any night's dreaming tends to linger into the waking mind, and even that fragment often grows softer and less detailed within just a few minutes of opening your eyes. Researchers who study this see it as simply part of how the sleeping and waking mind hand things back and forth, one holding certain threads loosely while the other releases them just as easily. There is something quite peaceful in this arrangement, the idea that a whole private world can form each night, rich and strange and entirely your own, and then dissolve gently without needing to be kept. Nothing is lost in any way that matters, because the dream did its quiet work simply by existing for those minutes, drifting through some deep, unlit hallway of the mind. You do not need to hold on to it, do not need to chase the fading pieces as they go, because your mind already knows how to let a dream rise softly and just as softly set back down, the way a leaf settles onto still water and disappears without a ripple. As the night moves along, your very deepest, slowest sleep tends to cluster earlier, arriving with real strength in that first half of the night before gradually giving way to lighter, more dream-rich stretches as morning gets closer. In these deep stages, brain waves slow into broad, unhurried patterns, long and rolling, quite different from the quicker rhythms of a dream stage or of waking life. This is often described as the most physically restorative part of the night, the stretch where your body settles most fully into stillness, breathing slow and even, muscles utterly at ease. It arrives like a low tide of activity across the whole system, everything softening at once, everything given permission to simply rest. Even as the night continues on and these deep stretches grow shorter with each passing cycle, their early strength seems to set a kind of calm tone for everything that follows. There is nothing to arrange or ensure here, nothing that depends on you noticing it happen, because this deep settling arrives on its own schedule, quietly and dependably, doing its slow, unhurried work while you rest, long before the lighter hours of dreaming and gentle stirring begin to take over as morning approaches. Between the deep, slow stretches and the lighter dreaming ones lies a whole middle territory of sleep, sometimes called intermediate sleep, and it makes up a good portion of any ordinary night. In this stage, the body finds a kind of steady, unremarkable calm, not as deeply still as the slow-wave hours, not as active as a dreaming stretch, simply resting in an easy middle ground. Breathing settles into a smooth, even pace here, and the body seems content to stay quiet and unhurried, waiting its turn between the more dramatic hours on either side. It is, in its own way, the connective tissue of the whole night, the gentle bridge that lets one kind of sleep ease into another without any harsh transition. You pass through this territory many times over the course of a night, again and again, though you would never notice the crossing, the way a river never announces the exact point where it grows a little wider. Nothing needs your attention here, nothing needs guiding, because this quiet middle ground simply holds the night together, cycle after cycle, offering a soft, steady rest that asks nothing of you at all. Your heart rate tends to settle into its slowest, calmest pace during the deep stretches of the night, dropping gently below its usual waking rhythm and staying there, steady and unhurried, for long stretches at a time. This slower pace is often thought of as one small piece of the wider stillness that spreads through the body overnight, everything easing downward together, breathing, heartbeat, and muscle tone all softening in quiet agreement with one another. It is not something you have to notice or check, not something that needs watching, because your heart simply finds this easier rhythm on its own, the way a river slows and widens once it reaches flatter ground. Later, as dreaming stretches return with more energy, the heart rate tends to rise again a little, following the same soft rhythm as everything else in the cycle, then settling back down once the deep hours return. There is something quietly moving about this, the idea that even something as constant and tireless as a heartbeat gets its own gentle rest each night, easing off its daytime pace, if only for these dark, unhurried hours, before quietly returning to its familiar rhythm as the night goes on. Body temperature keeps drifting downward through much of the night, continuing a slow decline that began even before you fell asleep, and it tends to reach its lowest point somewhere in these deep, dark hours, often in the stretch that feels furthest from both evening and morning. This gentle cooling seems to travel alongside the descent into the deepest stages of sleep, as though warmth itself were easing downward in quiet company with everything else that is slowing and settling. It is such a small, quiet shift, often less than a single degree, yet it appears to be a steady companion to rest, present in one form or another across countless nights for as long as anyone has studied sleep. You do not have to do a single thing to bring this about, do not have to notice or manage it in any way, because your body has been adjusting this soft internal temperature every night for your entire life. Somewhere in these deepest, darkest hours, while the whole night rests around you, your temperature simply continues its slow, private drift downward, quiet and unhurried, before it eventually finds its lowest point and begins, ever so slowly, the long, gentle climb back up. Breathing itself tends to grow slower and more even as sleep deepens, settling into a steady, unhurried rhythm that differs quite a bit from the quicker, more variable pace it takes on during a dreaming stretch. In the deep, slow stages, each breath tends to be long and calm, almost meditative in its own quiet way, while during the dreaming hours breathing can shift a little more, rising and falling gently in step with whatever is unfolding in the dream itself. Neither pace is something you ever have to think about, because breathing has always been one of the body's quietest, most automatic gifts, continuing on its own through every stage of the night without needing a single instruction from you. It simply adjusts itself, softening into long, slow waves during the deepest hours, then loosening a little during the more active dreaming stretches, always returning to its natural rhythm as one stage eases into the next. There is something wonderfully reassuring in this, the knowledge that with every change of stage through the night, your breath simply follows along, patient and steady, asking nothing of you but rest. As the deep hours of the night continue on, cycle after cycle, your whole body seems to lean further into stillness. Muscles soft, breathing slow, heartbeat unhurried, everything gathered into one quiet, restful rhythm that asks nothing of you at all. Each 90-minute wave carries you through its own small journey, down into the slow, heavy depths and back up towards something lighter and more dreamlike, over and over, the pattern repeating gently until the night itself begins to change character in its final hours. There is a kind of trust required in all of this, a willingness to simply let each cycle unfold without watching it too closely, the way you might let a favorite piece of music play through without checking on it note by note. Your body already knows this pattern by heart, has practiced it every night of your life, refining nothing, needing no guidance, simply moving through its familiar sequence of depth and lightness, again and again. And so, cradled inside these deep hours, cycle folding gently into cycle, you rest, unaware of the quiet architecture holding you, until at last the rhythm begins its slow, patient turn toward morning. Long before you ever open your eyes, your body temperature begins its slow climb back upward, rising gently from the low point it reached deep in the night, the way a valley slowly fills with light as the sun climbs above distant hills. This warming happens gradually, without any sudden shift, a soft upward drift that seems to accompany the lightening of sleep itself, as the deep, heavy stages give way to something a little more easily disturbed. It is almost as if warmth were the earliest whisper of morning, arriving well before any sound or light has reached you, a quiet signal passed along somewhere deep inside, long before the mind has any awareness of what is coming. You do not have to notice this rise, do not have to track it in any way, because it happens as naturally as the cooling that came before it, one smooth curve simply continuing on its unhurried path. There is something deeply comforting in knowing that morning does not arrive all at once, does not simply switch on, but instead eases in this way, temperature by temperature, degree by gentle degree, warming you softly from within long before you ever have reason to stir. Even with your eyelids closed, gently sealed against the dark room around you, some light still manages to reach through. A soft, muted glow rather than any clear picture, filtered through skin and closed lids into something dim and diffuse. As the room outside slowly brightens with early morning, this faint glow tends to shift and grow along with it, a quiet signal reaching some deep, ancient part of the brain that has always paid attention to the changing character of light, even during sleep. It is thought to be one of the gentle threads connecting the outside world to the body's own sense of time, a soft reminder that night is easing toward day, even while you remain fully asleep and unaware of any of it happening. Nothing about this requires your attention or effort, because this quiet exchange between outside light and inner rhythm has been happening for as long as living things have slept and woken with the turning of the earth. Somewhere behind closed eyes, in a place you will never really see, the day is already beginning to make itself gently known, long before your eyes will ever open to meet it directly. Long before any alarm or morning light, your body has already begun quietly preparing itself for the day ahead, adjusting its internal rhythms hour by hour through the later stretches of the night. Certain hormones tied to alertness begin their own slow rise well before waking, climbing gradually rather than surging all at once, easing you toward wakefulness the way a dimmer switch eases a room toward brightness rather than flooding it all at once. This preparation seems to follow the body's own internal clock, a rhythm shaped over long stretches of time, largely independent of whatever moment you actually happen to open your eyes. It is a strangely thoughtful arrangement, this idea that your body begins readying itself for morning while you are still held deep in rest, quietly setting the stage long before the curtain is ever expected to rise. You never have to ask for this preparation or notice it happening, because it unfolds entirely on its own schedule, gentle and unhurried, so that by the time morning truly arrives, some quiet part of you has already been getting ready for a good while, patient and unseen in the last soft hours of the night. Sleep does not simply switch off once it is finished. Instead, it tends to loosen gradually, growing lighter and more easily disturbed as the final stretches of night pass by, the way a held note slowly fades rather than stopping all at once. In these last cycles, the deep, heavy stages become rarer, giving way more and more to the lighter, more dream-touched stretches, so that the whole texture of sleep shifts subtly as morning draws near. This gentle loosening seems to make the transition into waking far softer than it might otherwise be, a slow unwinding rather than any sudden break. There is something graceful in this design, the idea that your body eases you toward wakefulness the same unhurried way it eased you into sleep many hours earlier, bookending the night with two long, slow slopes rather than sharp edges. Nothing about this needs to be rushed or managed because the loosening happens entirely according to its own quiet timing, cycle by cycle, until sleep has grown so light and so easily disturbed that waking, whenever it finally comes, arrives almost like a soft exhale at the end of a long, familiar breath. In the fuzzy space just after opening your eyes, a certain heaviness often lingers for a little while, a lingering softness sometimes called sleep inertia, where the mind feels slower than usual and the body seems reluctant to fully catch up with wakefulness. This is simply the last trailing edge of sleep, not fully released all at once, drifting off gradually rather than disappearing the instant your eyes open. Thoughts might feel a touch slower to arrive, movements a little less crisp, as though some part of you were still standing in the doorway between night and day, not quite finished crossing the threshold. This fading almost always eases within a short while, minutes ticking by gently as full alertness returns at its own unhurried pace. There is nothing at all unusual in this soft, foggy stretch, nothing to hurry along or push against, because it is simply part of how completely and thoroughly the body commits to rest each night. Waking, like falling asleep, turns out to be less like a switch and more like a widening door, easing open by degrees, letting daylight in a little more with every passing, unhurried minute. In these earliest minutes of being awake, the senses tend to return in their own gentle order rather than all arriving together in one sudden rush. Hearing often seems to surface first, soft sounds drifting in from somewhere beyond the edges of sleep, followed slowly by a growing awareness of light and shape as the eyes begin to adjust to the room around them. Touch too seems to settle back gradually, the simple feeling of a blanket, a pillow, a mattress, reassembling itself piece by unhurried piece rather than snapping into focus all at once. It is a soft, layered kind of awakening, one sense easing in after another, the way instruments join a piece of music one at a time rather than all striking at once. There is nothing to hurry in this gentle sequence, nothing that benefits from being rushed, because the mind seems to prefer reassembling the world slowly, calmly, giving each sense its own quiet moment to return. By the time all of them have settled fully back into place, morning has already arrived softly around you, welcomed in one gentle layer at a time. Even simple movement can feel a touch different in these first minutes of morning, muscles a little slower to respond, joints needing a moment or two before they feel entirely their familiar selves again. This is simply the body's own unhurried way of transitioning out of the deep stillness of sleep, easing back into its usual readiness rather than snapping instantly into motion. Muscle tone, which had softened so completely overnight, needs its own quiet stretch of time to return fully. The way a garden slowly comes back to life after a long, cool night rather than blooming all in a single instant. There is a kind of tenderness in this slowness, a reminder of just how deeply the body had settled into rest only a little while before. Nothing about this gentle stiffness or slowness needs to be rushed along, because it eases on its own, minute by minute, as the last edges of sleep quietly finish loosening their hold. By the time a little while has passed, the body moves easily again, familiar and unhurried, carrying you gently into whatever the day has waiting. The mind, too, seems to ease back into its usual sharpness gradually rather than all at once, thoughts arriving a little softer and slower in these first minutes before gathering their familiar clarity. Attention often takes its own quiet time returning to full strength, a gentle unfolding rather than any sudden click into place, as though the mind were simply stretching itself awake the same unhurried way the body does. This slow return seems to mirror the whole shape of the night, one more soft, gradual transition among the many that make up sleep and waking, each easing into the next without any harsh edges. There is something rather comforting in this pattern, the same slow, patient rhythm appearing again and again, in temperature, in muscle, in breath, and now in thought itself. Nothing needs to be forced or hurried along, because clarity always seems to return in its own time, quietly and completely, the way morning light slowly fills a room rather than flooding it in a single instant. By the time a few unhurried minutes have passed, the mind feels simply, quietly like itself again. There is something deeply peaceful in realizing just how much has already happened by the time morning settles in around you, all of it unfolding while you rested, without you ever needing to notice or manage a single part of it. Cycles rose and fell through the night, dreams formed and gently dissolved, temperature drifted low and then climbed patiently back up, and every quiet system inside you did its slow, careful work entirely on its own schedule. None of it asked anything of you beyond simply lying still and letting the hours pass, trusting a process older than memory, repeated every night of your life without fail. Morning, when it finally arrives, is really just the last soft note in a very long, very quiet piece of music that began the moment you closed your eyes the night before. There is nothing left to do now but notice how naturally it all comes together, how gently one stage eased into the next, all night long, all without your help, until here you are, resting easily in this quiet, unhurried morning that your whole body has already spent so many patient hours preparing. And so the night completes its slow, familiar circle, one gentle wave after another, temperature falling and rising, dreams drifting in and quietly away, breath and heartbeat easing down and then easing back up, all of it folding softly into this present, unhurried moment. There is nothing more for you to do than simply rest in the knowledge of how completely your body has always known the way through these dark, quiet hours, tracing the same soft path night after night, long before you ever thought to wonder about it. Wherever you are right now, however far along your own night has traveled, that same slow rhythm is already moving through you, patient and unhurried, doing its quiet work exactly as it always has. Let your eyes stay closed a little longer, let your breath settle into its own easy pace. Let the weight of the evening carry you gently downward, the way it has carried you every night before this one. There is nowhere to be and nothing to hold on to, only this soft, familiar descent, one slow wave settling after another, carrying you gently, gently, all the way down into rest. And so the night shift carries on without you, the way it always has. Your heart keeps its slow and steady time. Your breath rises and falls without a single instruction. Somewhere beneath the skin, small repairs are being finished, and somewhere in the dark quiet of your mind, the day is being folded away and put where it belongs. There is nothing left for you to do tonight, and nothing left to remember. The work is already underway, and it is in good hands, your own. Thank you for spending this night with the sleepy universe. Rest now and let your body do what it has always known how to do. Sleep well. QC, chapters equals 10 facts equals 100 words equals 20,547.